Welcome to this wonderful platform. If it is your first time of stopping by or coming across this channel for the first time, you are welcome. Please, if you like what you see here, after watching, subscribe, put on your notification bell. It's very important because it's going to help you to know when I upload a new video. In this channel, I present to you news on daily basis on what is happening in the whole world, especially in Nigeria and in Biafra land. Yes, I'm Mother Biafra. I bring to you Biafran news. So before I do that, what I always do is that I analyze it and I sit down there to watch the video together with you. Then we'll come to the comment section to talk about it. Of course, everybody is entitled to his or her opinion. That is why the comment section is there for you to contribute, leave your ideas, your thoughts, your belief about the videos that you have watched. Please, as we are doing this, let us do it constructively. As we hop into today's video, remain blessed. I appreciate all of you. I appreciate your massive support in this channel as we watch.
Must be released. Remember, next week Monday is total lockdown. Some people are asking different questions. So having you in this hallowed platform today, being the second day of August in the year of our Lord 2021, being Monday also. Please, Mazi, before we go on, I would like you to just take your time, introduce yourself, because millions of Biafrans are listening. Go on, please.
Okay, Jonathan, thank you for having me on this program. I really appreciate it. I feel highly honored. My name is Aloy Ejimako. I'm a legal practitioner and special counsel to Nger Nnamdi Kanu'S and the indigenous people of Biafra.
Did you ever see our leader since he has been under this extraordinary rendition, or have you heard from him directly, please? And if yes, when?
Yes, I have seen him a couple of times. I saw him last. That would be 16 days ago on last 2 Saturdays. I was with him for almost 4 hours, and that was the day the interrogation or investigation, which they called the interview, ended. That was 2 Saturdays ago. So I have seen him with my 2 eyes, yes, a couple of times.
Let me ask you again, because though that you've given interview, BBC interview, which we had, but this is our own family radio. How did you see him? I mean, how was his health, his psychology? How was he when you saw him, mentally and physically?
Well, he's as mentally and physically fit as you can expect from somebody who underwent 8 days of tremendous torture. Mental and physical torture. He still has visible injuries to his body, which I observed with my own eyes. Injuries to his neck, to his wrist, and his ankle. And of course, he complained of chest pains and bodily pains. He told me he was chained to the floor and beaten up and tortured. And
that was where? That was where? In Kenya or in Nigeria, please? That clarification
in Kenya,
is necessary.
Okay, that was in Kenya. For those 8 days before he was renditioned in Nigeria on the 8th day. When they returned him to Nigeria, the very first night, as he told me, that he spent in the custody of Department of State Services, was horrible. He was in mental anguish because in the room they kept him, he had a very brittle mattress to it, and The lights were very bright lights, and the lights were on throughout the night. So the very first night he spent at the DSS custody, he had extreme sleep deprivation. So with that, and with what he added to what he went through in Kenya, you can imagine his physical and mental state, and psychological, I would say psychological state, not mental. They are not as good as he should be. I think he's a traumatized person, as anybody would be. I consider him lucky to be alive, because what he described to me that he passed through in Kenya is the sort of episode that ordinary men would not pass through without dying in the process. So he told me that it was to the glory of SH0CKING that he survived the terrible physical and mental torture that he passed through during those 8 days that he was in captivity. So he is not as good physically and health-wise as he should be. That was why we felt that he needed to be moved to prison custody, where better medical care could be available to him, and where he will have more social contacts in order to be able to heal psychologically. Because where he is right now, he's isolated. He's in solitary confinement. He doesn't have any contact with anybody except when we as lawyers pay him a visit. If he has contact with any officer, it must be those that cater to his welfare. So there is no contact with anybody. So, but if he's in prison custody, social contact is guaranteed. So he's not in the best shape. So that is why we think independent medical examination is urgent and exigent. It should be done as quickly as possible. So we hope that either he gets transferred to prison custody, or some of the processes we are filing and the pressures that are coming from around the world will percolate to the point that he regains his freedom. Thank you.
Thank you. Please, moving on. I want to ask you this because people will need clarifications. On the 26th, the day normally he is supposed to be brought to the court, Nigerian court, we saw lawyers being locked outside, and we saw you and other Mazi Ejiofor, also Barrister Ejiofor. People lawyers were angry. Please, can you really give us first-hand information of what really transpired in that place that day?
Okay, 3 factors were responsible for that. Initially, the court was closed. It was under lock with plainclothes DSS officers guarding the door to the courtroom. So they didn't permit lawyers to go in. But as soon as the lawyers from the government side came, lawyers from the office of the Attorney General, they were promptly ushered into the courtroom through another door. So when the lawyers that gathered, and almost all the lawyers, not almost, all the lawyers except those on the government side, which number just about 4, came on the side of Nger Nnamdi Kanu. They are lawyers that volunteered to come and show support by being present in court, and they were properly robed and dressed to be inside the court. And they numbered over 100, maybe up to 150 of them. So when we discovered that the government lawyers had been ushered into the courtroom, but we were not, at least the frontline lawyers for Mazi, my humble self, Mazi Ejiofor, and the others, 2 or 3 others, were not ushered in. That was when the fracas started.
So which means, if I will interject, which means you were initially restricted from entering the courtroom. Am I right?
Yes, we were asked to wait. We were asked to wait that the court that they were making arrangements. They were arranging seats properly inside the court. Anyway, when we got past that, the next issue was how many lawyers will be allowed inside. That was the next issue. Are you with me?
Yes, I am.
There's a lot of background noise from your side, like something is moving around.
Okay. Are you hearing anything?
Yes, it's just the background noise. It's interrupting my thought processes.
No, I don't know. There's nothing I'm hearing here. Everywhere is quiet.
Okay, anyway, it might be disturbance in the line. Okay.
Yes.
Anyway, let me continue. So, let me cut through the chase. They complained about not having sufficient seats and sufficient space in the courtroom to take all the lawyers, and they also complain about the COVID protocols that require people to space out when seated in enclosures. So eventually, the matter settled to a few of us lawyers being allowed inside. Of course, they had to allow us. So the issue was the additional number of lawyers the additional number of lawyers that presented themselves, including the lawyers from Igbo organizations and other civic organizations, and lawyer and for Ohanese for Igbo Lawyers Association in Abuja. So they allowed those two lawyers to enter, as well as Mazi Chukwemeka Ezife, who came to show solidarity. So the matter was settled eventually, but when we got into the courtroom, it was a little bit understandable that there were not, in fact, enough seats for everybody.
Okay, noted. Let me ask again, what, on that day, why did the DSS, why didn't they bring our leader? Despite making the court date. And I hope, because I'm not a lawyer, but I hope under the law, are they obliged to bring a client in the court of law that day? Please, can you clarify this issue and the reason why?
This is $1 million question, as they say in America. The DSS did not give any reasonable excuse or plausible reason for not bringing Mazi Kanu to court that day, except to state it in general terms that they had logistic difficulties, which to me couldn't come with any reasonable meaning attached to it. But the point is that they didn't bring him, and they didn't bring him, and that's a breach. It's a serious breach of his constitutional right. It's a violation of his right to be present at his trial. It's a disrespect to the court, and it complicates the defense that could be made for him by his defense counsels. It complicates his relationship with his counsel, because if he was in court, would have had a conference with him, counsel to the client, but he wasn't there. So the next conference we could have with him is to go to the detention facility, and to visit him at the detention facility has not been so easy. So his being in court that day was a golden opportunity for us as counsel to commune with him, to bend our heads and consult with one another and see how best to conduct his defense. That is his entitlement under Section 36 of Nigerian Constitution. His right to fair trial was grossly violated by DSS not presenting him to court, and the court, with all due respect, took an offense at that as well, and they entered on order compelling DSS to bring him, to make sure they bring him to court on the next adjourned date. And I think that was what also compelled the court to enter a secondary order setting out 2 days of the week that the DSS must allow counsel and family members and friends and anybody who wish to see him to go and visit with him, provided the number is limited to 2 at a time, 2 days of the week, Mondays and Thursdays. So it was quite unfortunate, but it's something that is not supposed to happen. And it's something that really offends the ends of justice and fair play, that a suspect will not be brought to court. And this has become something of a new normal in Nigeria, where you may see from the news that DSS failed to bring suspects or accused persons to court until the court entered a direct order that such accused person be brought to court. It's not supposed to happen. It's very frustrating for everybody, and it defeats the end of justice. Thank you.
Thank you very much, please. While continuing, please, there is this fear on every Biafran and lovers of freedom all around the world. Here you said it has been 16 days since you saw our leader, and you were prevented from seeing him also the last time. I mean, is it you or the counsel?
It was me, yeah.
Yeah, okay. Now, I want to ask you this, please. Do you have any proof of life of our leader? Is he alive? I'm not talking about being well, because he's not well, I know. Because any person in DSS dungeon is not well. So, do you have any proof of life since that time of our leader, your client, please?
No, we don't. That's just the simple truth. We don't.
That's very horrible.
No. I don't. But you see, I really don't want to dwell on that, because I don't have any reason to believe otherwise. Do you understand what I'm saying?
Yes.
You see, I don't want to heighten the anxiety of the people listening, or I also don't want to give them.
No, we need to say it as it is.
Yeah, so that's what I'm saying. So I'm saying it as it is. I don't have any such proof, and I am not prepared to make assumptions to the contrary either. Do you understand?
Yes.
Yes. Exactly. So that's my answer to that.
And what are you doing as the counsel, as the lawyer? What are you doing in order to obtain this proof that our leader is alive? That is the news.
Yes.
My phone is going crazy, honestly. How is our leader feeding, and who is giving him food? Whether he has seen any doctor since our leader arrived in Abuja. Please, can you respond to that?
Yes. The detention facility has its own doctors. So they made those doctors available to him at his request. They will also make the doctors available to him anytime he requests. As far as his feeding is concerned, it's the detention facility that is feeding him. The last time I was there, I was introduced to his welfare officer. That's what they called the officer. He told me he was the one in charge of his meals and water and anything that he eats, and that he has been instructed to be very careful, because I made a request that we take over his feeding, and he told me that he doesn't believe that is going to be possible, because the powers that be put Mazi's life in his hands. So it's not going to be acceptable for him to accept any food for him from outside. So Mazi himself, in my observation, didn't feel too concerned. about that aspect. I remember doing one of the interview sessions. They all shared the water. All of us drank the water. I drank, he drank. So that's just. I know that people are concerned, but I'm just telling you what my observations are. That's all.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. If you are having fear that feeding on our leader is highly dangerous, I don't know whether you have anything to say about it.
Well, normally I see all over the world is a concern people often express. Even back in America, where I had practiced for a while, families, friends, loved ones of detainees, people in detention, they often pivot into that idea that detention facility meal is not safe for one reason or the other. So they try to make that request to bring food for the detainee from outside. But oftentimes it is rejected. So like everything else in life is a calculated risk, but that's just the way it is. It's a regulation. So it's a controlled environment and they have their rules. So we just have to take things the way they are when we cannot force a change. But I was hoping that maybe he's entitled to better meals, or he is entitled to be fed from sources that people will not have any concern. So when I approached the British High Commission in the early days of this rendition, I think that was around the 6th or the 7th of last month, I told them at the embassy, we had a meeting, that if at all they are going to intervene, perhaps they should key into his welfare as the first point of contact. That's the much I have to say on that. But in himself, I have to be honest. I have to be truthful about it. People are listening. He didn't express that fear that I see people expressing out there. Do you understand what I'm saying?
Yes.
Yeah. So when the person concerned exhibited confidence, then that's where my confidence is also coming from. So perhaps if you met him personally, you will also pick the same confidence, because he did not express fear of anything, any food that they give to him or water they gave.
Fearless lion.
Yes. So he didn't have that fear, and I was impressed. So to that extent, so I was wondering whether my request to take over, or for his relatives to be bringing food for him from outside, whether in his own reckoning, whether our request was reasonable at all, because he wasn't fazed, he wasn't disturbed about that at all.
Always watching Linda's TV show. I will see you again in my next video. Remain blessed. I appreciate each and every one of you, and keep on watching Linda's TV show. If you have not yet subscribed, please, I beg you to do that, so that you'll be getting more updates from me. Bye bye.